Hi, Greg here with Rough It Outdoor Fitness, and today's video is about core exercises that you can do at home and probably every day, something you can add to your routine. These are going to be simple exercises that allow you to build control in that midsection along your spine, give you support, and help you be a little bit more resilient to exercise and the activities of just your daily life. So let's get into them really quick, okay? The first ones are going to be on your back. One, we're going to have what's called a supine march. You're going to tuck your chin, place your head on the ground, and what you want to do is flatten your low back. All right? We don't want the arch here. We want to flatten it down using that posterior pelvic tilt, like a dog tucking its tail between the legs. Now, there's different modifications here. The easiest here, while you're maintaining that brace and drawing the belly button in, is to march 1 foot up at a time. If you want a little bit of biofeedback, you can put your hands underneath your back, and as you're doing that motion, making sure the pressure on your fingers does not change. If you want to make that a little bit harder because it's too easy, bring your feet up and reverse it, starting in a tabletop position, 90-degree bend in both your knees and your hips, and same thing, marching down, tapping your heel down, and again, making sure you're drawing your belly button in and you're pressing your low back to the ground. Again, maintaining that contact, nice and slow and controlled, 1 foot at a time. To make it a little bit more difficult, you can lengthen your leg out, lengthen the lever, adding more resistance. And finally, the last progression is to do both legs at the same time, right? And same thing, as you get better at it, you can start to lengthen the legs out a little bit and come back up. But you don't progress to the next one until you can control the low back. So if I'm tapping down, I notice my low back arching up off the ground, I'm not ready to move on. I should actually regress to the previous one. Your second exercise, still on your back, it's your bridge position. So we're going up, pressing through the feet, everything in line, my knees in line with my hips, which are in line with my feet, my toes are pointing straight forward, I'm squeezing the glutes and lifting up, and slowly lowering back down. This is going to be the easiest version. We can increase the time we have at the top. We can hold for longer or do a sustained hold if we're working on more glute endurance, right? So that's one option. The next option is going to be raising up on two, lifting one leg, lowering down on one. That's going to make it a little bit harder and force you to keep your hips neutral, right? What's tendency to happen is as I lift my foot, my hips fall to the side, and that's not what I want. I need to engage, squeeze hard before I lower, keeping my hips pointed straight towards the sky. And even more difficult, we can keep one leg up and we can lift doing a single leg bridge here. Up and down, up and down. And then obviously repeating the same thing on the second side. Again, keeping the hips square to the ceiling. Right? One other modification, sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's a little bit harder, is staying up, working on that endurance, and marching the feet. But what I don't want to see is my hips dropping with each step. So what I like to do, again, for that biofeedback, is lightly place my hands on my hip bones, and when I lift up, I want to make sure they're not moving back and forth. We got 3 more, and they're all facing the mat. All right? This one is our prone cobra. We're going to anchor our feet to the ground. Our hands are by our sides. We're dropping our shoulders down away from our ears and lifting through the upper body. We're also going to externally rotate. Externally rotate meaning turn the palms out, turn the thumbs up, and hold that for a few seconds, and then come down. Lift up, hold, and come down. What you really want to focus on is squeezing your shoulder blades, your scapulas together and down away from the ears, creating length and a long neck. The ways we can make that more difficult are using a stability ball, putting that under us, or adding weight in some way, holding weight, light weights in the hand. After that, we have our plank, which I'm sure many people have heard of or tried or done at home. You're here in this position, all right? What I want you to think of is taking deep breaths. And as you breathe in, you feel that expansion. And as you breathe out, that belly button draws in. What I don't want to see is an overarch in the back, hips up in the air, or kind of this sagging, right? We want straight through the body. If anything, I want you to try to tuck the tailbone a little bit, right? You can do that on your elbows, or you can do it holding in that high plank position. Things you can do to make it more difficult. In either position, you can march the legs, you can march the hands, doing your best to stay still. You can also do opposite arm and leg reaching. That's going to be even more difficult. All right, and our last one is going to be our bird dogs. This one is an opposite arm and leg motion, where the left leg and right arm reach out away from each other. Okay? You can alternate sides. If you want to make it a little bit more difficult, you can go repeatedly on the same side. You can add a weight to your hand. You can put yourself on an unstable surface. And something I want you to focus on is keeping your hips square to the ground. Now, if you have a foam roller or like a stick or something, you can try to balance it here on your back and rolling off. And as you, let's see if I can get that to stay, lift one leg and arm, you're going to try to make sure it doesn't tilt to the side and fall off. So it stayed level. But what happens if my hips tilt? You can see how it slides off to the side, and that's what I don't want. So putting some sort of feedback to help you keep your hips square is a good thing. So those are your 5 exercises to work on that core. Now, as a doctor of physical therapy and a personal trainer, I can tell you that everyone has a different definition of core, right? What we're talking about in this video, and I'm not saying that it's the right definition or anything, but this is what we are talking about, is the muscles that keep you stable. They're not necessarily the muscles that move you, that rotate you, that flex you, that extend you. They're the deeper muscles that allow you to find stability throughout your spine, from the top of or the base of your skull all the way down through the bottom of your spine, through that sacrum, right? That's why we're working glutes. That's why we're working some extension, right, in that prone cobra, and we're also working some of those deeper muscles. Drawing that belly button in is a good cue to help that transverse abdominis, the deeper, more stabilizer muscle, to work instead of those surface rectus abdominal muscles, right? So if you have any questions, put them down in the comments, and I hope that video was helpful. Have a great day.